Hello and welcome back to Recovery Resources. I'm a recovering addict named Richard, and we're going to explore a little bit more about recovery today. Recovery from addiction in the beginning is very, very difficult. You know, we get through a period at first when we first stop using, and this is our detox period. This period can be very difficult, and it is, you know. If it was easy, then anybody could get clean anytime and it'd just be a piece of cake, but it's just not. You know, when we're talking about removing from ourselves the one thing that's been the most helpful to us to cope with our lives, to cope with the way that we feel about ourselves inside, we're talking about removing that from our lives. You know, it's caused us a great deal of damage. I mean, there's reasons that we want to get clean. You know, and we weigh those things in our mind and in our hearts before we even get started. You know, because this is not a simple process, okay? It's going to be unpleasant. There are going to be periods of time when everything in your body craves to use again. And I'm going to give you some tools to help you with that, okay? But the bottom line is you're going to have to pay some freight, okay? There's no free ride here, okay? You're going to have to pay a little bit up front in, you know, being uncomfortable at first when you first get clean. But we'll definitely get into how to take care of that. Now, if there, you know, I've said before on numerous occasions that it really doesn't matter what we're addicted to because, you know, in the end, we're all just addicts. And recovery, the process of recovery is the same no matter what we were using, and that's true. However, there are certain drugs that we're using, and this is the only time that becomes relevant. There are certain drugs that we can use that require medical detox, okay? Alcohol and benzodiazepine class drugs. These drugs are absolutely, they absolutely require us to get medical help for detox from these things because the detox from these things can be very dangerous. You can have all kinds of things, including seizures, very high blood pressure, a number of things that can befall us when we stop using cold turkey that can actually be life endangering. So if there's any question in your mind, I would recommend that you consult a physician and ask your doctor, you know, if he thinks that you require medical detox. You know, it's very important. As a charge nurse in a detox, I a number of times had people show up for detox in such an advanced state of decline that I had to put them in the ER to become stabilized before I could even start helping these people. They were going through convulsions, they were going through seizures, they hadn't eaten or drank anything in days, they'd been having nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, hadn't slept. They were in really rough shape. You know, some of these people were close to death. All right, so certain drugs can be very dangerous that way. Other drugs don't necessarily require a detox period or a formal detox, but it's helpful if you can get there. Okay, they can give you drugs to help you over the first couple of days of getting through your detox period, and for that the detoxes are very helpful. And also they have meetings there, they have therapists there. You know, and they can be of help to you as well. You know, having people around you that are there to support you, that are professionals, is very helpful. Not all of us are able to do that, okay? There are people that go cold turkey on their couch, they're sick and stuff like that, and that's just the way it is, and they get through it and they move on with their lives. And if that's what we have to do, that's what we have to do, you know? I mean, we can have family or friends come stay with us during this period and help us through it, you know, help us with food or soup or just basic things, you know, taking care of kids or whatever. But we've got to get through this first part. And that's the most difficult part, you know. I remember when I first got clean, I'd be sitting there in this room talking to other people, and suddenly I'd feel the cravings, the physical cravings come upon me so strong, I could taste it in my throat, you know. It was horrible, you know. I mean, I'd start sweating, I'd get these goosebumps and stuff, and it was very unpleasant, you know. Here's the thing, it will pass. It will pass. If we go to a detox, what we're going to find is they're going to ask us about our drug use, what we were using, and they're going to prescribe certain things to us while we're there to help us through that first period of time. this is something that is absolutely necessary in some cases. Now, for things like heroin, opioids of different varieties, there is a very uncomfortable period when you first stop using that you probably are well aware of. And they can help you get over that point. Those kinds of things, although they'll make you very ill, aren't necessarily life-threatening. So again, check with your physician or just go to a clinic, wherever you got to go to talk to a doctor to get some clarification on what you need. Now, if we're in a detox, we've been admitted, they're going to start giving us these medications that help us. And those medications are going to cause us to feel better. Over a period of days, though, they're going to start decreasing that medication until they finally stop it altogether. Now, there's going to be a period when they decide to stop your medication, decrease your medication. I've seen this time and again. The client will come up to me, oh, I'm not ready. I'm still feeling this symptom or that symptom. And, listen, we're here to get clean, all right? And again, you're going to have to pay some freight. It's going to be uncomfortable, but it will pass. It will pass, and then you're free. Once you're free of that, man, your life is back to your own. You can start making decisions for yourself, perhaps for the first time in years. For the first time, you'll have an opportunity to have the kind of life that you wanted to have. You can have an opportunity to be the person that you were meant to be, Using causes us to become people that we don't even like, And now what we're talking about, even though we go through this uncomfortable period in the detox, now what we're talking about is a period of freedom. We have choices now, okay? We can, the sky's the limit, man. But, we've been so ashamed and felt so degraded and guilty and remorseful about the things that we've done, okay? And the people that we've harmed. And now once we get through this period, we'll have the opportunity to have ourselves back, to have our life back, to have some self-esteem back in our lives, to be able to look in the mirror and be grateful for who we are. To have just having that achievement is a big deal. To get through a week or 30 days of not using, man, it's a big deal for us, okay? I know, listen, when I was in my active addiction, okay, I remember coming home at the end of a weekend, all right, on a Sunday morning, and, I hadn't slept in 2 days, I hadn't eaten anything, I'm covered in cold sweats, and I'm jonesing, okay? I was wanting, and my mind is racing on, where can I get more money? Where can I get more drugs? Who would front me what? Who would make me a loan? What can I pawn? What can I sell? What can I steal? What can I do to get more? And why was I so consumed with this desire to get more? Is because that one moment that it gave me that sense of release, that one moment when it gave me that sense of nirvana, when I put that drug into my body, when I felt boom, I felt okay, I felt better than okay, I felt better than I ever had, and we get these peak moments, and that's really what we're chasing. It's not even about the drugs necessarily, it's about that feeling that we get when we get loaded, when we first use, and we get that boom, we get right to where we want to be, and we feel comfortable, and then we come down, and then it's whatever it takes for us to get back there is not too much to ask. And many of us have done some very degrading things to ourselves in the pursuit of that. Things that we would never have thought ourselves of doing, what we're talking about here is having freedom. What we're talking about is being able to make choices for yourself and never have to go back and live in that hell again, okay? So, yeah, there's going to be a period where, you can't sleep. You have insomnia. You have leg cramps. You might have stomach cramps. You might have some nausea. You might have feelings of cravings and stuff. This is perfectly normal, okay? But it will pass. And I'll tell you what, if it didn't pass, I wouldn't still be here. And I've been here 30 years. I've been recovering since I was 20 years old. Okay, it does get better. It'll pass. It'll leave you. Okay, and there are tools that we can use to help with that. If you happen to be fortunate enough to go to a detox to get some medication to help you through this short period of time, to get to the point where you're absolutely free of any chemical influences, While you're there, you can talk to therapists. Some of us have been traumatized and victimized by people in our childhood, and we're dealing with those kinds of issues. Some of us have done things that we're really ashamed of and carry a lot of guilt and remorse for some of the things that we did in our active addiction, or even before we started using. We've got some issues that we need help starting to address. And this is an opportunity for you to do that. Now, you're talking about, in a detox, usually a 7-day stay. So, we want to be careful about opening up, peeling off scabs, emotional scabs, and allowing a wound to become fresh again without some way to follow up on that. So if you're able to talk to a therapist and carry it through so that you can continue to work on this stuff that you start while you're in detox, that's great. If not, then maybe this is not the best time to open those things up. There's nothing wrong with going to see a private practice therapist that's well versed in addictions, that knows what they're talking about to help you deal with some traumatic issues that you may need to talk about and process. One of the things that you can do for yourself during the course of your detox, be proactive. Okay, I would highly recommend that you take this book with you, okay, to detox and start reading it. This is a workbook that I wrote based on my experience with recovery from addiction, and that is based on my experience with the tools that I use. In this book, you're going to find a lot of stuff that hopefully you'll be able to relate to. I think you will. Even if you're not able to relate to the specific things that I did, you're going to be able to relate to the way that I felt. Okay? Because we all have different backgrounds and different things that we did, but the feelings are the same. Okay, so this is going to help you to understand that you're not alone, what you need to be doing for yourself. It's a workbook. There's sections in here where you can actually write questions, write answers to questions. Now, some of these workbook sections are kind of lengthy. There's a lot of questions in there. I went through all these things myself. Okay, and the people that I help have also gone through these questions. It's a lot. It could seem daunting. Do a couple a day. You don't have to do it all at once. Do 2 or 3 a day. And if something comes up while you're in detox, you're working through this book here, and you're in detox, something comes up, you can go talk to the counselor, about what it is that got brought up in this thing. But this is all very necessary. We're going to begin the process of excavation. When we decide to build, for example, a skyscraper in the city, the first thing they do, they don't just start building it up, they dig down. All right, they start removing all the rubble, and they get down and remove all the useless material to clear it away to get down to what they call bedrock. Okay, and that's the place where they start. It might be 2, 3 stories down. Okay, that's where we start to lay a foundation for our building. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to start digging down and excavating some of this crap out of our lives, and understand that addiction has been there before we used, while we used, and after we used. I was an addict before I ever started picking up. Okay, and the things that I did to feel myself inside, okay, reflected that addiction being present in my life before I ever even picked up. Okay. So again, it's not that drugs turned me into an addict. It was rather being an addict turned me on to drugs. When I found drugs, I thought I found the solution. Now, when I put those drugs down, I'm still an addict. So this is why we need a program of recovery, because we need to do something about the cause of us filling this void within ourselves. The cause of this void to begin with. Why is it that we're unable to accept ourselves? Why is it that we're unable to feel okay about ourselves? And that predates our drug use by a long shot. Okay, so we're going to start addressing that. We have to address that issue right there, and then we start building from there. Okay, they talk about self-esteem issues in addiction, and that's true. There's a lot of validity to that. But one of the things that I hear, and this is just so absurd, one of the things that I hear people asking addicts to do is to go in the bathroom and look in the mirror and say to yourself nice things about how much you like yourself and how worthy you are and all this stuff, okay? Listen, you don't get self-esteem from spouting platitudes to yourself in the mirror, okay? A lot of times there are really valid reasons we didn't like ourselves, so we're going to learn how to fix some of those things about ourselves. We're going to change ourselves to be the kind of people that we want to be. Not the kind of person I want you to be, or some corrections officer wants you to be, or a teacher, or a parent, or any spouse, or whatever. Not somebody that somebody else thinks you ought to be, but the person that you were meant to be. Okay, that's where we're going to go with this. With the detox, a lot of times what they'll give us is this thing called Suboxone. Suboxone is a medication that is used to treat opioid withdrawal, and that's fine. Okay, as long as you taper off and you're done with it when you leave the detox. Unfortunately, there are a large number of people out there who capitalize on Suboxone and the addict's need to use a drug. And they open up these clinics, okay, and they tell people, I had a friend of mine call me from one of these Suboxone clinics, and he called me to tell me that he got a prescription for a Suboxone, and this doctor told him that if he didn't take Suboxone, he was never going to stay clean, right? That's like telling somebody that if you don't stay in the pool, you're never going to stay dry, okay? It's just ridiculous, man. You cannot hook somebody on a substance like this and say to them that they must use it. Really, all this is a legalized form of drug dealing, okay? The people that go to these clinics, they show up 3, 4, 5 hours early to their doctor's appointment to get their prescription filled. You look in their waiting rooms and they're filled with these zombie-looking people, okay? This isn't freedom. This is enslavement. This is profiteering on a vulnerable population so that you can make a quick buck. Okay, I'm not with that at all. I was doing these conferences where I was marketing this book to the treatment centers and stuff, and I had this clown. He comes into this conference wearing scrubs. Now, why he's wearing scrubs at a conference, whatever. He wants to make sure everybody thinks he's very medical. And he's wearing this outlandishly silly looking red Crocs and wearing these blue scrubs, and he's walking through this conference, and he's bugging out, man. This guy's like jumping out of his skin. He's looking around real paranoid and stuff, and he doesn't know which way to turn. It looks like he's got like sweat rolling off of him. He turns around and looks at me at this booth. I've never met this clown in my life. He looks at me and says, "You don't believe in me, and I don't believe in you." And I'm like, "Dude, what are you talking about? Okay? I don't even know you." And he starts coming up to me and telling me all about it. This guy, man, I was like, wow. This guy was so out to lunch, man. He was making all these disjointed proclamations about what I thought. This guy never met me. He's at this conference to tell people that the new thinking in the treatment industry is that being entirely clean is a fallacy, and that they have this new thing called Suboxone, and Suboxone is the solution. There's nothing new about Suboxone, okay? It's just like a substance that they came out with in the 60s and 70s called methadone. There's nothing new about it. And methadone wasn't a solution either, okay? Suboxone is not a solution, okay? You've got to find a way out of this hole, all right? So go to a proper detox facility and get off of these medications, all right, so that you can have a life that's free. You don't want to be slave to some doctor writing scripts so he can buy a new Porsche. That's not what recovery is all about. Recovery is about having your own life back. Okay? That's what it's about. It's about being okay with yourself and having a life worth living. And you can't do that if you're slaved up to some doctor writing scripts for you. All right? That's not what it's about. Recovery is about freedom. This Suboxone clinic stuff is about slavery. Okay? That's what it's about. Anyway. There's nothing new about it. There are other things that we can do after we leave the treatment center. Maybe you have a church organization you belong to. They can be very helpful. And there are people that just leave the detox and try to manage their lives on their own after that. By and large, they end up being pretty miserable people because they never did change anything in here. They might be free of the drugs, but they'll pick up something else in their lives. They become very controlling, manipulative people, and that's what addicts are. All right, so we can get through that. Let me give you some pointers and take you through this tutorial on how to have a program of recovery. Okay, how to really work a program. That's what I'm offering you. That's what I'm bringing to you. That's why I'm doing these videos, because without the proper information, people end up dead. Okay? And I'm willing to bet that there are more people dead from addiction than have ever died in all the wars that have ever been fought on this planet. You know, I can't back that up. If anybody out there can back that up and bring me some valid data on that, I'll give you 30 days bonus clean time, okay? That's a joke. Anyway, I'm pretty sure it's just that. It's just that that insane. And I'm not talking about just people that overdose. I'm talking about people that commit suicide. I'm talking about people that drive impaired and end up dead. I'm talking about people that end up incarcerated for the rest of their lives and die in prison. Okay? That's what we hope to put an end to. All right? Real solutions, real answers. That's why I'm here. All right? We'll see you in the next video. Go on to video 4. And guys, go to my YouTube station. All right, you can see all these videos together on my YouTube station, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. That way you can make sure you don't miss the next video, okay? Because I'm going to keep putting them out, all right? I'm ruffling a lot of feathers. I'm making some people very upset, and that's okay. You know, I know what their motives are, and I know what my motives are, all right? You know, there's a reason that I'm here. There's a reason I'm even still alive. There's a reason that I'm not incarcerated, you know? Because I believe that, you know, I was meant to bring a message of recovery to people that don't have any hope. And I will do that for you. See you in the next video.